Welcome back. Well, it's been an interesting week that we are taking stock of. For the week, the Nifty was still down about 0.37%, though of course the Bank Nifty made a new all-time high and the mid-cap index ended in the green. Didn't look like that till Wednesday, but then of course on Thursday and Friday we had big rally. Joining us now is Ashwini Gujral with his view on the technicals for the market. Ashwini, so where does this week leave the market? Still buy on dips, the larger trend?
Well, very, very small correction, 1.5 week worth of correction, 8 down days. So still an uptrend. I think possibly maybe tomorrow itself we could cross today's high and start moving on, and that would give fresh buyers an opportunity to participate in the momentum. So I don't think I would take the last hour sell-off very seriously. I think the correction is truly done and over, and once the US markets and global markets give follow through on the upside, I think we should also move higher.
Ashwini, the one stock that I had in mind was Reliance this week, because it's undone a lot of the damage that we were looking at last week. It fell about 6.5%. This week it's risen about 3.5%. So could Reliance be a key pillar that takes this march forward?
See, that seems likely. Not only that, since rupee has fallen back towards 65, I think IT will also come back, and this entire rally was led by Reliance, banks and IT. I think next week onwards, IT will also show better participation on the upside. So Reliance is still a fairly decent buy here.
Okay, what about the Bank Nifty, Ashwini? That clearly remains the leader of this market. Thoughts here on what would be the next levels to watch?
See, Bank Nifty clearly did not correct and move sideways. Now that was a very strong signal that it's likely to see greater upside. So immediately 26,200 could be a target on the Bank Nifty.
Okay. Let's discuss your stock ideas then, Ashwini. We've discussed Reliance. That's also on your list, by the way. But other stocks?
See, housing finance seems to have bottomed out. So Canfin Home is a buy with a stop of 470, target of 495. Pidilite is a buy with a stop of 825, target of 860. And RIL is a buy with a stop of 895, target of 940.
Okay, so those are a couple of the ideas that Ashwini is going with. We also have some queries on Twitter that are coming in. So let's see if we can get some of those questions answered as well. Twitter user VSN Kumar has 600 shares of JK Tyres. He bought them at a price of 167 rupees. He wants to know the outlook on the stock and whether he should hold on or whether he should exit out. Tire stocks, Ashwini, gotten into a bit of a volatile ride of late. JK Tyre in specific, any views there?
See, the best of the tire rally seems to be behind. Now these guys are not participating as much on rubber prices falling, etc. And JK Tyres is in fact fallen below 200-day moving average. So I think maybe he needs to move on to an MRI for a SEAT, or better still, out of the tire space, because it is not participating in market rallies a whole lot these days.
Okay, we have Twitter user Sarda with 288 shares of Lupin, and guess what? The buy price, 1323 per share. She wants to know if she can hold it for a long time. I'm guessing now it's the view turns long term, Ashwini, because it's fallen so much in a bear market. What next here?
Well, like small caps become blue chips, sometimes blue chips can become small cap, and you should not try to find out if they can become. What do you say to this sort of a price? It's been in a continuous bear market. You need to have stops in stocks. But Lupin, it'll take a while. Even the management says don't expect too much this year. So if I were her, I would not add on. Keep it. Maybe the worst is priced in. If you are lucky, maybe long term you get something out of it. But if I were you, I would at least now not let it fall another 100 points. So let that be your stop loss. If it gets taken out, then you are out of Lupin.
Okay, you need to take the pain and move on if it falls another $100. Twitter user Prasanna holds 40 shares of Bombay Burma Trading Company. Buy price was 1300 thereabouts, 1303. He wants to know both the long-term and the short-term view on the stock. So, made good money on BBTC. I guess those who got in at the right time, they have made a lot of money on the stock, Ashwini. What's your advice now, looking at the buy price?
See, Lupin is a perceived blue chip. It keeps moving lower. Bombay Burma, people are not so sure it's a holding company, trading company, etc. That keeps moving up. So I would think this is still a pretty good stock. Probably keep a stop, say closer to 1350 thereabouts. And once the rally restarts, we should get back towards 1700, 1750.
Okay, Ashwini, thanks a lot for your time today. Have a good weekend, and of course, we'll talk to you Monday morning. Well, that's all the time that we have on Taking Stock, but we leave you with some of the biggest voices that we've got all through this week.
The bull market, which I anticipate the long, biggest bull market in India, I think has just started. It will make cost of fund lower for India as a country, and it will allow a lot of foreign capital to come into this country.
No,
which is good.
Very important point.
Right.
Because that was the thing missing.
So that will help revive that will also help revive the investment cycle.
As long as inflation remains relatively moderate, I think that the financialization of assets is a theme that is here to stay on a structural basis. And I think that, India has got such a large pool of savings that at the end of the day, the FIs should not be the tail that's wagging the dog. We're at Nifty's at 10,300 right now, approximately. I think that, if you're talking now 15, 16, 17 months, right, for the election, if we're assuming May of, then it's more like 18 months till May of 19. I mean, I think, 10 to 15% move is very reasonable. It's certainly a pleasant surprise. I don't think anybody was expecting it at this time, especially given that, there were some nascent signs of inflation. But I think Moody's is making a long-term call, and I think, therefore, kudos to them and kudos to the government for getting the recognition for the long-term benefits of some of the moves like GST.
The Indian macro is on a very solid footing. I think growth is turning around in India. The one-time effects caused by demonetization and then the implementation of GST, I think, are largely behind us. I think that growth will likely surprise on the upside over the next 12 months. The point you make on oil is certainly a risk, and I keep a keen eye on that. I don't think that episode in the Middle East is over, so it still presents a risk. I think the recap is obviously a very big inflection point, and nobody should underestimate the power of this recap. It's a very appropriate amount. It's not half-hearted. I think the government has gone the whole way and has decided to fix the capital situation with the SOE banks. And therefore, this does help all the corporate banks, even the private sector corporate banks, to fix the NPL problems that have been hurting them for the past few years. So I think that we could be entering into a period where corporate banks outperform the traditional favorite space for investors, which is retail banks.